Yesterday, like many of you, I played Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes for the very first time, and I really enjoyed it. It's going to scratch that classic JRPG itch for you, especially if you like the Suikoden series. Now, I didn't love everything about my first few hours of the game, so we are going to talk about that, and if you stick around till the end of the video, I'll share my specific thoughts on different parts of the game. I started my adventure in the quaint country town of Arenside, and I was very quickly introduced to the main character Noah as he joined the City Watch. To be honest, I thought he was pretty bland for the first couple of hours that I played, but I'm sure that he's going to gain some more character as we get further into the game, and he did become just a little bit more interesting by the time I was done playing for that day. I do like that he at least has lines, as the classic silent protagonist is really cool from the Suikoden series, but you know, I can get more invested personally in a main character that actually says stuff. So I met the other members of the Watch, and we got some time to explore the village, and then once I had joined up with the representatives of the Empire that were also in the village, we set off on a joint expedition to find some ancient ruins. Before I left town though, I went to the shops, and I very much enjoyed my experience there. You can see how equipment is going to enhance your character's stats, and I liked that you can buy it and equip it right away. What's even cooler is that if you find a piece of equipment and you don't actually have to go into every single character's equip screen to actually try it on, you can just see how it fits everybody from the item list, and you can even equip it from there too. They gave me a decent amount of starting money, so obviously I spent it all right away on some new gear for my characters. I tried to raise the defensive stats of the characters that had lower values compared to the rest of my party, and after that, I was out of the village and on to the giant, beautiful world map. Honestly, this map brought back so many memories. I really enjoyed how vibrant it was. I also got my first taste of combat before getting into the first dungeon. My task was to explore the forest and find my way to the rune barrows. Along the way, I had to fight several enemy types, mostly some industrious rabbit types that had formed a militia of knights and wizards, and while I was slaughtering all of the bunnies, I reflected on my combat experience. I enjoyed combat overall. The battles have a lot going on for them visually. Combat animations look really good. I liked the variety of weapons and how everybody moves fluidly. It's so obviously all very Suikoden in nature, and that's exactly what I wanted. Knowing the turn order creates gameplay where you can plan out your turns more, and I had the pre-order ring, which gives you some extra speed to one character who you equip it to, and that meant that I could pick which character I wanted to go first before certain enemies, and this was very helpful during the boss fight in order to get some healing out. The battle theme was not very Suikoden-y, but the victory music really was. It was truly inspired by that. I realized we were working with different composers from the first two Suikoden games, and that the music is going to be different overall, but it just felt kind of busier and in the dungeons and less ambient than I was hoping for compared to those classic games. But this is purely a personal opinion, because I love Wild Arms, I love Star Ocean, I love the Tales of series, and they all have incredible music, so I'm not complaining about the overall quality of the music. It's just not the style of OST that I was expecting, considering it's the spiritual successor of Suikoden, sorry, my childhood pronunciation came through there for a sec, but still really pumped up about the music. Once I got through the forest and killed my first boss, I entered the Rune Barrows to try and find a way to access the Primal Lens. This is an ancient powerful version of the more common Rune Lens that the characters use to cast magic or special attacks. One thing that really bugged me in this dungeon was that the game stopped me for dialogue simply too many times. Like, honestly, every step I took, boom, somebody's talking. I wish some of it could have been combined into longer scenes, or maybe, some of it could have not been voice acted. That way I could have moved through it more quickly. I felt like I couldn't take a few steps without initiating another voice acted scene. And again, this is just a personal opinion, but when I'm playing the beginning of a game, I want to experience more of the dungeon before interrupting me too much. And I still have the vast majority of this game to play, obviously, so time will tell if this is going to be a long-term problem, or it's just kind of like initial, we really want to explain these characters and build some characters during that first little dungeon. Partway through the dungeon, the main character Noah and his soon-to-be friend from the Empire, Sane, fall down a hole for some classic characters from different worlds bonding time. I do like that this friendship is forming. It's going to build up to some epic story later, as we know that the Empire and the League of Nations will likely be opposed at some point. After some exploration and the introduction to the classic combos system from the Suikoden series, I met back up with my party as they came to my rescue to fight off a big Rune Golem with me. This was the hardest fight so far in the game, but still not really challenging. As I fought, I built up my SP by attacking so I could use special moves, and I used my limited MP with my healer Hildy to heal up a few times. There were some bespoke mechanics for this fight which involved hiding behind rocks, and I know everyone saw this fight 4,000 times in the preview cycle for the game, so I'm not going to talk about it anymore. After the fight, the Empire gets the Primal Lens, and we see a negotiation in place with the League of Nations and with the Empire. Everybody from the League of Nations is kind of just rolling over and brown noses them, which was pretty sad to see. But don't worry, because the rich girl Perel, who is the family heir to the whole region that your town watch is operating in, stood up and told the Empire off, which was great. I think she's going to be the person that you work with to rally some troops in an army later on. It then cuts back to the watch, and Gar puts you in charge of a unit in order to gain some leadership experience, and that is where I left off. And I'm very pumped to play again. Probably when I finish editing and shooting this video, I'll be right back on the game. All right, so now let's talk about some specific parts of the game that I am really enjoying so far. First up, it's going to be the art style, and the opening cinematic was really gorgeous, blending the splash art with the pixel art in a beautiful way. Character animations are so smooth in this game, and they're full of personality, especially when a character joins your party. A character's splash art will flash across the screen with their name and title, but you also get a preview of their combat sprite to get you pumped about using them in battle. I can't wait to recruit more characters to see their little entry animation. The world is very colorful and vibrant, and it uses that 3D, 2D blend with some background blurring to make things stand out. Moving on to the music, we have some renowned composers on board, and while it may not feel exactly like Suikoden, the tracks are engaging, the battle and victory themes are especially thrilling. It's overall a really great soundtrack so far. The story is also intriguing, and I think it has a kind of a mix of serious themes, but also some lighthearted stuff. The army versus army conflicts that are coming, because we've seen the trailers and we know that's happening, is going to set up a really cool narrative, and I can't wait to see kind of the decisions that will be made for these people to be on different sides of the battlefield. The main character's kindness shines through, like at the beginning when you see him like pelt that eagle with a rock to save the smaller bird, even though that was kind of jarring, that it's like, oh, these birds are fighting for no reason. Well, it kind of immediately gave us some insight into the main character's personality. He's just a helpful guy. He's going to help out a little bird, disrupt the circle of life and all that. As for the gameplay, it's a mix of familiar mechanics and new twists. Characters have little text pop-ups as you walk around during exploration. The world map looks stunning. The combat has a variety of like animations and skills and combos and things to use. And I really like that visibility in the turn order, because I love strategizing and picking my moves ahead of time and kind of min-maxing my speeds and stuff to figure out the best way to run my party. Overall, Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes is off to a very promising start. I'm super excited to explore the game more and just get more experience with this epic story that is starting to be told. But I want to know what your thoughts are on the game. How did you enjoy the game so far? How far are you? Probably farther than me, at least. Let me know in the comments down below, and stay tuned for more content on Eiyuden Chronicle.